I would say when fantasies become expectations, that is where we like struggle.
Yeah.
Because I think having dreams about who you're going to be with and like, oh man, I'd love it if like these were some of the qualities or characteristics. Like I think that is fine and that's great. If you're just looking for the fantasy things, it just, to me, that correlates more with superficial things. And I want to love someone for their character and like actual like traits about them, not just like, well, I want them to have like, I don't know, a 6-pack and like black hair.
Hello and welcome to the Christians Who Date podcast. I forgot about this. I'm sitting here in Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah,
Bozeman, Montana.
This is Andrea Alley, by the way. And I am with two of my favorite people. One is right here.
We're gonna put our hands around. We're literally like a foot from each other right now.
It's a dream.
Finally. I'm Lauren from LA, sometimes Indiana, depending on who I want to tell.
Yes.
Shaking Andrea's hand right now.
Yeah, fun story. We went to a coffee shop this weekend and this barista I know, I was like, oh, this is my friend. She's from LA. And Lauren really quickly is like, no, I'm from Indiana. And I was like,
yeah,
okay.
And then I was like, why did I say that so kind of like savagely? And then I was like, well, I'm actually like also LA. And then I was like, can I just have a coffee? And I just need to get out of there. I was like, I don't know what's happening because they've been making fun of me.
So she told us later she was trying to relate more to the Montana people.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
yeah, like Midwest, you know, the Wild West, same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm from LA, but like I'm from Indiana.
Yeah.
So I like get it.
We don't like big city people.
Right,
So
yeah.
she's like, oh, okay.
Totally. I was like, I know they probably think I'm someone famous. And I just don't know how to tell
like,
them
what
I'm not.
movies have you been in?
I didn't want to disappoint her.
Right.
So
And I'm also Kalli, and they have come to see me, both of them.
Right.
And I'm just so happy to be here. Happy to show them around.
Exactly.
For a tour guide.
For those of you who don't know, this is probably take like 4 of us trying this podcast. We tried yesterday.
Yes.
Internet,
oh my goodness.
for some reason, not working. So this is our 4th time, and we're stoked. We're stoked to make this happen.
Yeah. Shout out to Kate for lending us her little like adorable, I guess it's a studio. I don't
Studio
know.
apartment.
Yeah, we're at it right now.
So cute.
She's a faithful fan, faithful
She's a
follower,
fan.
always spreading the word about our podcast.
Yeah.
And we got to hang out with her.
We got to hang out with her. It's so great.
She's the best.
Yeah.
We definitely have been
so much about birth because she's a midwife.
Oh, it's true. And there might be the J's on the wall behind me. But don't look too clearly
Lauren,
in the video.
whoa, I don't know if
She's a midwife. She's a midwife. It's a normal part of the body.
You cannot see it.
There's nowhere to be ashamed. But I was gonna say is we've been marketing our podcast a little bit over the weekend, and it's kind of cracked me up in random ways. So like even the waiter today was like, "What are you guys gonna do this afternoon?" And we're like, "Well, we're gonna do a podcast." And he's like, "What is it called?" And I'm saying Christians Who Date, and I was like, I wonder what he really thinks about us saying this.
He seemed jazzed about it.
Yeah.
I have a straight face too. If someone told me some type of crazy podcast they'd have, I'd be like, "That's amazing," you know. So there you go. But what have we done this weekend?
Hiking?
We hiked. Yep, that was lovely.
Yep.
Yeah,
A lot of coffee.
we're so caffeinated.
Yep.
We've gotten to hang out with Callie's man the whole
It's
weekend.
True. We got
Yeah.
to meet Callie's man.
I'm not allowed to say his name, I guess. I didn't know.
Yeah.
No.
Round 2
some
or
mysterious
1 or
man,
Yeah.
by
those
round
men.
3. Now that we're at round 5, Lauren's finally.
Yeah,
She knows now.
for sure. He's definitely been kind and driven us a lot of places, which I so appreciate.
He's been a great
Yes.
host. Yeah.
So
What
Yes.
was the thing you really admired about him?
oh yeah, so definitely like out of my top 5 things I admire him is he buys bulk Costco items, and they're like oatmeal or rice or like eggs or Coke Zero, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. I have mad respect. Like all bulk healthy foods overall, besides the Coke Zero maybe. But
you stoked on the Coke Zero.
I love Coke Zero. I don't buy it for myself, but whenever I see it, I'm like, it's like alcohol to me. I don't know. I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. And we watched Sandlot with him
Yes,
because
he
he's
had
never
never
seen it.
seen it.
And we're all just huge fans.
We've been quoting
Yeah.
it all weekend now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
We
We're
helped
like,
him out.
yeah, we're like, you're welcome. Now that you understand like so many cultural references.
Yep.
yeah, all
Yeah.
culture is built on Sandlot. That is the
Yeah.
truth.
Callie and I also like wore our striped shirts.
Mm-hmm.
We dressed like the
Representing.
Sandlot kids.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's cute.
yeah, it was
Oh.
great. Every time I watch that movie, I'm like, oh, this is so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love it.
The fun thing is when the three of us get together, it's like just fun being together.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
we don't even have to do much. We don't even have too much of an agenda. It's like,
Yeah.
well, you want to go to Walmart? Okay, let's go. Like
Did that
we
today.
did. We went to Walmart. I had to find
Yeah.
something.
Which I don't, I don't recommend Walmart, but we were desperate. So.
Yeah, we were desperate because of my mistakes. Literally, quick story. I was gonna get honey for my boyfriend, or I wasn't. Callie wanted to go to the honey store when we first got here, and I was like, "No, I don't want to go. I don't want honey because then
Great
they'll
store.
stare at me, and I'll have to buy honey because that's all they sell." And then the next day, I try her honey, and it's so good. And then I wanted to get honey for my boyfriend, and then it was closed, so we had to go to Walmart.
Yeah,
I feel
closed
bad.
on Sunday.
I learned my
It's
lesson.
like Chick-fil-A.
People rest on Sunday, and so did the honey makers.
The beekeeper.
Beekeepers.
Beekeepers, they had beekeeping equipment because we did look in the window. It said a simple hobby.
Yes.
And I was like, that's maybe not what I would have said about beekeeping. Not that I know from, firsthand experience, but I would have maybe said it was a more complicated out of the hobbies that you can have. But,
So good.
it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But one of our favorite stories this weekend was so Callie looked really cute for the podcast yesterday. Sorry, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
But she was, well, you look great right now as well.
Thank you. Brunch today.
Yeah, I'm like,
That
you
ship has
did
sailed,
look
as we
cute.
can see.
Yeah.
Actually, the upgrade is that now Andrew and I look decent for this
It's true.
podcast.
No, we looked a little grunge.
Yeah, after the hike.
Yeah.
Callie looked good. We didn't. And then she was wearing these cute Princess Diana shorts, we call them, because they're like
Mhm.
high-waisted
So
jean
90s.
shorts.
So cute.
What Princess Diana would wear, rest in peace. Sorry. Yeah, I gotta pull it together. So they start to tell me about there was like an affair with Prince Charles and Camilla.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we were talking about the
Queen Camilla,
coronation.
the
when
coronation.
and we were talking about Camilla getting crowned.
Camilla, yes.
queen.
And I had no idea about this whole affair thing, which I guess was big news in the 90s, 2000s. And so I start diving into this and I'm shooketh. I'm like, what the heck is going on with the royal kingdom? Then I start to look into Prince William. I call him Prince Williams.
She did.
And he's been having some affairs on his beautiful wife Kate, who's like Princess Diana to me. And I just was shook, and it was really hard and disturbing. I don't know. So anyways, that's what happened.
It took probably 30, 45 minutes
Yeah.
just deep diving into the scandal.
Yeah, Lauren just caught up on 3 decades of tabloid news.
They
From
were
the
making
UK.
fun of me the whole time though, because I was like, I did not know.
And Andrea was like referencing The Crown.
Yeah, I kept saying yeah, Lauren, blah 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 blah. I'm telling her stuff, and then I was like, actually, that's just from The Crown. I think. I don't know if I actually fact checked that. All my information's from The Crown.
Ours was from Google, so
Yeah, they lined up pretty much. So,
but yeah, that's what we do in our friendship. We do some deep dives, and all was because of the shorts Callie was wearing.
yeah,
Spurred it on.
yeah.
So very grateful. We're not going to get into the Bachelorette
There's
or the
so
Bachelor
much.
because we could talk all day. So
Yeah.
anyways, anything else we want to say about this weekend before we get into year anniversary?
Yes.
1 year, you guys. We've been doing this podcast for a year. Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's crazy. A year ago, we were in Bozeman recording.
Next year you'll be a Bozeman.
I
recording
hope so.
in Callie's trailer.
Oh, yes, we were.
Had those Hobby Lobby curtains in the back.
Miss
It was
'em.
great. Miss 'em. A staple, you could say. And so I was asking these two, did you think when we first started this podcast that we would make it to 43 episodes? Because this is episode 43, we think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was asking them. You guys want to share your answers?
I said I thought we would still be doing it, but I didn't think of it necessarily in how many.
Yeah.
It is wild to me that this is our 43rd. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But in my head, I was like, oh yeah, a year from now, I think we'll still be doing it. So
Yeah.
that was me.
Yeah.
But
I thought we would definitely be doing it, but I was like, oh, we'll do like once a month. And then I didn't realize, oh, we like went in hard of consistently being meeting and doing podcasts every week. So,
Yeah.
which was nice actually, because then I like had to see you both because we're so busy.
Yeah.
It was so
Yeah.
nice because I was like, it built something in our friendship
Mhm.
that we
Totally.
haven't done. I was like, I didn't know that all about you all. So
Yeah,
good to know.
okay. You also learned my real identity this weekend.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
I know.
embarrassed. You all, I was selling Kalli, and I see this name, and I was like, "Oh, that's a funny nickname of hers." And it was like Khalees, and I said Khalees, and I was like, "That's a funny nickname." And she's like, "That's my real name." And I was kind of like in front of her boyfriend. Everyone was like, "I don't even know her name," and he's like, "I knew her. I knew it before I even knew her."
Yeah, he's a stalker.
Yeah, there you go. So learn something new.
Funny.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, segue.
Lauren finally knows Kalli's real name.
Yeah. But Dre, did
Please.
you think we would be doing the podcast? You're the one that spearheaded this.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to ask if I knew Kalli's real name. I was like, yeah, Lauren, I collected her mail for 5 years.
You're like,
So
I know
I
these
did.
I
things.
sure did.
No, so I'll have to admit here publicly that I think I just knew the statistics. I knew most people made it to like, I don't know.
Couple months.
Yeah, most people don't make it past maybe like a few episodes. And so and it just, like adults like coordinating our schedules is like the hugest thing,
Yeah.
especially with these two. Like we're all pretty involved in like church and, job. We all have side hustles.
All have
Yeah.
side hustles.
Multiple jobs, like multiple social calendars. And so I did not know like, yeah, if we were going to make, or I didn't think we'd make it this far, I guess, but I'm really excited that we did. And I think it's honestly been a dream that I didn't know I had. Like, I know, but like to be able to do like I think in my heart, I was always like, oh, it'd be so fun to do like ministry with Lauren and Kalli. But like, I kept trying to get them to move to Austin and like, we could like all be at the same church or something. Like, I don't know, that was more in my head. So this feels like a different version of something that felt like a dream. So
love
sweet.
that.
yeah. And now it's like, even if we like don't meet to record the podcast, we still call each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. There's
like
always something.
It's like a slot now
Yeah.
that we have to fill.
We all three have very entertaining lives or entertaining things happening around us.
Yes.
So we have a lot to
Absolutely.
share. We have a lot to share.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so sweet.
So, side note on the ministry thing, they both come to church with me this morning, and I'm talking to some friends. I look over, and they're both praying for this girl they just met. It's like classic.
Yeah.
So they're just wonderful.
You know
and
what?
So sweet.
Shout out to that beautiful girl we met today. I hope she listens to our podcast. She's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's like classic Lauren for sure. I feel like
yeah.
doing life with Lauren, she's gonna find people and minister.
Don't we all? We all need it. Well, should we get into the pod today?
Let's
Go
get
ahead.
into it.
Who wants to share the topic? Dre Dog?
I'll totally share.
Let's
So,
go.
the topic today is fantasy versus reality when it comes to dating. So, all of us grew up watching movies and Disney and the rom-coms, and I think we had a picture in our head of what dating would be like, when we grew up, and what it would be like, getting married. Not that we know, I guess, what that's actually like, but definitely dating and romance and all those things. We very much had pictures in our head. And, we talked to a lot of people about this topic too, and we've noticed it's not just us. A lot of people have fantasies and ideas or ideals, you could even say, around what this looks like and what the person they're going to be with looks like. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about like how that's changed for us, like how our fantasies, maybe some of them came true, but there are a lot that we maybe had to let go of because life is not a movie, unfortunately, most of the time. And yeah, just some things I think we've learned along the way that have maybe set ourselves up for a little bit more success in relationships because we're not putting this expectation on someone that's actually not realistic because
So good.
it's not Hollywood out there,
So good. I love it.
Yeah. Anything to add, guys?
Pretty good explanation.
Everything.
I liked it.
Thank you.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, does one of you want to start? Like, what are some of the fantasies you had about dating growing up, or what you thought it was going to be like?
Okay. I always love to jump in the deep end.
Do it.
So I think for me, fantasy, well, I've always been a romantic since I was little. I had a crush in first grade. I remember my crush in first grade. And so I think I had growing up, for some reason, this fantasy of I will like pine for someone like him and they're just going to know me, recognize me, want to be with me. And then it's like, we're together, because you hear all these stories of like the guy falls in love with the girl first and they just pursue her and she's like, no, no, no. And then she's like, fine, I will,
Yeah.
And so I thought that was going to be my story of like, he'll just know that I'm his one. And then I'll kind of maybe resist a little and then I'll feel like, okay. And actually I found like a lot of guys did not pursue me, or the ones that pursued me, like I didn't want to be with them. And then I would pursue the guys that I wanted to be with, but they didn't want to be with me. And so I feel like that chasing imagery, I'd be like very disappointed a lot of time, because I was like setting myself up for this unrealistic thing of like, I'll just ignore them and then they'll just like me and then they'll just know that I like them, and I would not communicate or anything. So that was like a big thing I dealt with, I would say even to like age 30s, like my first boyfriend, like first official boyfriend, because I dated guys in my 20s, but it was definitely just kind of these crazy expectations in my head of how they needed to like pursue me and get to know me. And then I always thought like, we'll just both know that we want to be with each other and like we'll get married pretty soon after. And so that's like a crazy expectation or like fantasy I had, because I wanted it to be so easy. I wanted dating to be really easy. I wanted there to be no complications, nothing hard. And I actually was like, oh, if it's hard in any single way, then it's just not meant to be. And so I would actually kind of bow out of a lot of good, healthy relationships with guys that could have been potential dating. I'd say a lot throughout my 20s, because whenever it was like a little weird or a little hard, then I thought, oh, it's just not meant to be. And so I'd cut them out completely instead of talking it through, because I was very avoidant in my conversation. So I think the fantasies were definitely like, oh, we'll just know, or he'll just know. And then the other one was like, it's got to be super, super easy. And if it's not easy, then it obviously is not meant to be. So those are probably my two ones I faced a lot.
Yeah.
Kalli?
Okay, honestly, mine are so similar to
That's
yours.
good. Yeah, this is good. We've never talked about it.
So funny, because like I think I've mentioned on here, but like I had one really strong crush when I was like a kid, and I liked this guy for like 10 plus years. And in my head, I was like, okay, he's it. And like he like moved away and stuff. And I was like, oh, it'll be fine. It'll still work out. Like the Lord will bring us together. And then he got married super young. And I was just like, well, what do you do? And I was like, it just had broke that fantasy of like, okay, well, I'll just like him. And he's like, he's such a good guy, loves the Lord, awesome.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, clearly he's like a man of God, and like, yeah, this is it. And I won't have to look at anybody else, and it'll be super easy, just that idea.
Yeah.
And it was not. And then just like kind of dealing with the effects of that, going to ministry school, and then feeling like you have so many options and almost this fear of like missing out if you're not at every possible social event, because what if the one is there and you miss it?
I totally did that.
Oh, I see.
That whole thing.
Yep.
But definitely, let's see, because you had mentioned pining.
Shout out to those sirens in the background.
Some sirens in the background.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you, God, for our law enforcement and serve EMTs, AMTs. Anyways.
Okay, because you touched on communication a little bit. I definitely thought I wouldn't have to have like, I think, hard conversations or like have to talk about feelings. It was just that illusion that you talked about of like, they'll just kind of know. You won't really have to talk through things, and they'll just get it. You'll be able to like like it's so romantic that you just kind of know what each other thinks.
Yeah.
And if you have to actually talk it out, like that's unromantic and like, oh, it's probably not the right fit. And that's just such a lie. And if anything, I've learned, being able to talk about expectations, what you think, what you feel, that is so assuring to your partner. It feels good for yourself as well, because you're just like, oh, here's my needs and expectations and whatever. But yeah, I just really thought I won't have to do that. And I was very wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, same. Yeah, and I think, I mean, just maybe I feel like I can echo a lot of what you guys said, but maybe to add some different things, I guess, is I really just had no idea how it would feel to actually be even just going on a date, but also in a relationship. Like, dating anxiety is not in the movies. Like,
Yeah, you don't talk about it.
they're not worried. It's this very like they saw each other, like they knew, or like sometimes they hate each other at first, but everyone can tell they're gonna end up together. Like it's so clear. And I think that's how I thought it would be. And I remember even like this wasn't even like an official date, but like even the first time someone asked me to homecoming was sophomore year. And I was like excited the first day. I didn't know him super well, but his older sister loved me. And so she told him to ask me to homecoming.
It's just
And
all the sisters love it.
yeah, he kind of knew, like we had like done track together. Anyway, and
always
so
throwing and running. Anyways,
yeah, always bragging.
Yeah, I haven't brought up in a while how I grew up an athlete, but anyway, so he asked me to homecoming. It was exciting that day. I woke up the next day with a pit in my stomach. Like I was so anxious. And he was like an attractive guy, like honestly, like cooler than I was, had more friends, like and so I was like, I think he was somebody that I had like even been kind of excited about the idea of him asking me. And so I don't know why, I just all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Like, does he like me? Like, what am I gonna be like on this date? What if I'm awkward? Like, it was just all this stuff came up. And I just always thought it'd be like more fun than that. Like I was like, no, it's like all a fantasy, like you are excited about getting ready and like you're excited about it and it's all just fun. Like I did not realize like the emotional roller coaster that you could be on. And I think as an avoidant, more, I guess someone who leans a little more avoidant in attachment style, like I didn't realize that actually for a lot of people who lean that way, being in a relationship can be kind of uncomfortable. Like, and you kind of have to push yourself. And there's a lot of moments where you're going to want space when you don't actually need as much as you think you need. And yeah, same as Lauren like said in the beginning, like didn't want to do communication or conflict, like kind of thought that just meant we weren't supposed to be together. Yeah. So yeah, I was very surprised by like just how swirly you could feel inside of a relationship with a good human. Like honestly, this kid who asked me to homecoming, like he like called my dad and asked if he could take me to homecoming. Like his dad,
what a gem.
yeah, his dad like made sure he like, because he's learning how to date, which is great. I'm like, I think that's amazing. His parents were like coaching him through it. So respectful, like honest, there's nothing that I should have had anxiety about. So it's just kind of interesting, like when you're actually in it and when it feels different from how you thought it would feel. So that was one thing. And then I'm trying to think if there's something else about maybe not. I can come back to it later if I think of it. But
I actually have a couple other ones. I'm like,
Go
wow,
for it.
the
Yeah.
free flow is coming.
Good.
Yeah.
We've all talked about this. Another one was I always thought whoever I dated / married, they would be good at everything I'm not good at, which we've all touched on this. So I'm like, they'll be good at finances. They'll be good at, I don't know, better leader than me and better networking than me. And more adventurous than me. And it's actually funny. And if I point it out, I want them to be everything I'm insecure about.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like I want them to be everything I'm insecure at, which I need to journal about that because now I'm speaking to myself. But the other one was that they would be able to read my mind. Like they would just know exactly like what I need when I need it, which you touched on, Kalli, of like you didn't have to voice your needs like at all. Because that'd be unromantic if you have to tell what you actually need.
Yeah.
You know? And then another fantasy was that you'll just be romantic all the time. Like everything will be romantic.
Yep.
Because
They're
that's
always
movies.
attractive.
We're always making out 24/7 and holding hands and just like staring into each other's eyes.
And we always know exactly what the other one wants.
Yeah. It's just like pure romance, which there are times like that. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But then there's other times you're like, no, this is very normal and we're just going through the day. What's up? Let's clean
or
our
it's like
dishes.
clunky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Clunky, which is great. I actually love awkwardness at times. So I appreciate it because I'm like, this feels normal, like a human.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I was thinking of those.
That's really good.
So
that reminded me of my other one.
There we go. I knew it happened.
Because I think like watching the rom-coms especially, I feel like a lot of times, at least how I would see it, is the guy would come in, the girl would be like kind of a hot mess. The guy would come in and like help her sort out her life, or like if you think of Runaway Bride, like she's like a mess, right? And he comes in and like points out all these things and like helps her figure it out. And so that's what I thought. I was like, I don't have to get my life that much together, you know, like he's gonna come in and take care of everything, you know, like and so I definitely had this like, oh, like someone's gonna rescue me, like someone's gonna come in and rescue me kind of feel. And so there was a lot that I like just didn't even take ownership over, because I was like, well, my husband will have that figured out, you know, like that'll be his role, or that'll be his thing. And just like kind of delayed growth, honestly, in some areas of my life, because I was like, oh, I don't need to work on that. Like, you know, whoever I marry will have that all figured out. And like similar to Lauren, like, oh, I don't need to push myself like in this area or this area or this area. I'm just gonna marry someone who like is good at that.
Yeah.
So never thinking like, you know what, whoever I marry or like date might actually want me to like contribute some things. You know?
Yeah. No, seriously.
Like he might actually like it if like I can also come into a social situation and like be able to talk to people. So that he doesn't have to do it all. So anyway, so interesting. Did you think of any other ones, Kalli?
I think you guys,
we covered them.
Fantasies,
right?
Yep.
So okay, well, the next question is, are there any fantasies that have actually become a reality for you guys
in our dating lives?
Yeah, I can jump in.
Let's go.
Yeah. Something on, you know, the list for me.
The list.
It does help. I like to be specific with things that I like or that I want. And something that I had on my list for a long time was someone that was good at communication. And a lot of the guys I've like gone on dates with in the past or have like spent time getting to know have really struggled with communication. And my boyfriend is very good at communicating and has been from the beginning. And that was something that initially I was like, whoa, this is really wonderful. And I do not take it for granted. If anything, I think he might be better at communicating than me. Like, especially, it's both like through text, it's in person. He does a great job of asking questions, asking for feedback, and it's just really, really nice. And usually when I tell people about like the kind of conversations we have or the questions he asks, people are always like, oh my gosh, that's really amazing. And kind of going along with that a little bit is just, I would say, like his emotional intelligence. Like he's very aware of what he's feeling and how he's feeling. Will also ask me about those kind of things. And it's just, it's not something I've experienced that often from guys, but it was always something that I'm like, oh, if I could have that, that would be really wonderful. So very, very thankful, and shout out to the man. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, Lauren.
I think for me, a fantasy that became reality. It's so funny. I'm like laughing too about things that like I didn't want to happen have happened as well. You know, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
but it's for my good as well. Like
Right.
some of them have been like, oh, I didn't know that would happen that way, and then yeah, which is funny. Basically, a lot of my fantasies have never come true. It's best. God made it that way. I feel like I'm like God has allowed that. Of like what I need versus what I thought I needed. So I'd say like a fun fantasy right now that has come true is I always pictured like me working out and like being athletic with my boyfriend and or like and doing adventures with my boyfriend, hopefully husband. And I kind of touched on that from the couple. It was when we talk about our 9 power couples, there's a couple that they did like all these crazy adventures together, like running, biking, hiking. And I would say my boyfriend now, like we've done a lot of like outdoor adventures and runs and marathons. And so that has been fun to share that with him because I know that's a gift. And that's something that not all couples can like have is like your hobbies kind of align. That's just, and that's okay. I would say that's not actually like the foundation of a good relationship is that your hobbies align in some ways. Like, I don't think that's needed. You can like go do your thing, you go do your thing. But because it is, it's like really sweet and really fun. So I would say that's something I always wanted, but I didn't expect. And so that's been sweet. Yeah. What about you, Dre?
I honestly I cannot think of an answer to this question. Maybe because I'm not in a relationship right now. So yeah, I guess there's nothing I feel like I can pull from, but I was even thinking of past relationships and yeah, I don't know. Honestly, fantasy really killed me. Like more than anything, it hurt me a lot more than it helps. Because even when guys would do good things, like my like feelings of like the discomfort I felt of someone trying to get close to me a lot of times like sabotaged me from even being able to like be thankful for what they were doing. So I do think in my last relationship I did heal a lot of my attachment style. Like I think I became a lot more secure because we really did work through a lot, or tried to work through a lot. So and we were not easily like dismayed. We stuck together through a lot of things. So I think like I am thankful for the healing that I've gotten in that aspect. But yeah, I'm like, man, I don't know. My like crazy fantasy just made it hard for me to like appreciate when I had something good in front of me, I think for the most part. So
Yeah. No, it's good.
yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. Okay, well, so next question. This is I'm gonna do two in one. So is it okay to have fantasies about dating? And when do we need to let go and kind of face reality? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even as I'm like processing, because I would say a lot of this is like us processing fantasies versus dating like on the fly. But I just am like, fantasies have harmed all my dating relationships, like, period. Like, it has just not helped anything. That's why I'm like, oh, well, my fantasy of running is like a good one. Like, it's like, but really, majority have hurt because in so many ways it has prevented me from growing into my identity, and it has led me to like just be unrealistic in my dating and pass up some really good guys actually, because I was not being realistic of just having real conversations with them or having real like life with them of like, this is what I need, what do you need, instead of just running away because it was uncomfortable. And so I think, yeah, I feel like over the years, I can say that dating so many people has actually been a gift because it's taught me so much about like my identity in God. And I feel so overall like really secure in who I am because of it, because I've gotten to interact with so many different people and learn more of like what I need versus not. And I've had like a really poor dating relationship, and I learned like, why did I do that? Like, why did I say yes to these unhealthy things in my life, and what was good versus bad? And I feel like there's been a lot of discovery God's taught me through like having real life dating where it's messy and not perfect, and not easy. And so, yeah, I think I'm like so grateful, even though I sound exhausted as I say it, because I'm like, I don't want to go through it too much longer.
Yeah.
But I think it's, if you are going to open your heart to love, I actually have talked about this with my boyfriend, because we're both like, love is so scary. It is so scary. But if you're going to open your heart to love, there's so much risk of being hurt, but then there's like so much opportunity for like great deep love and happiness and joy. And that's actually like God's love towards us, is like there's so much risk involved of like God opening his heart to us and us opening our heart to God, but you might experience like the greatness of goodness of life. And so I think when you open your heart, you're actually allowing more like fullness to life, but you can actually be more and more, there's a greater risk of harm. And I'm like, I get why people don't stay single, or I get why people don't enter into relationship, because it's so scary, the pain that could happen from it, or the loss that could happen from it. But then you're also like, but there's this crazy opportunity of like family and intimacy and security and love. And so it's like this bargain you have to do with it. And so I think my fantasies kept me from like really entering into different things, but I feel like I've been like washing away the fantasies like little by little. And how to keep your heart pure of, I think, you know, there's been years where I'm like, oh man, like this is just never what I pictured. And so your heart gets like really sad, and hope deferred can come in, because you're just like, oh, this is nothing of what I thought it would be. And that's hard. It's hard to face that reality and kind of grieve the life you thought you'd live, or the relationship you thought you'd have when you wanted it. And so to let that go and let God like replace that hope, that grief with hope again, it allows for like, God, what do you want to do in this? Because it's not going to look the way I want it to, but I want it to be like your best. And sometimes his best is not exactly like what we expected, you know, or fantasized. So yeah. What about you,
So
Kalli?
good. Man, I was just taken on a journey there.
Same,
really good.
same. I was like, God, why? Get the
So
fantasies
good.
out. Life is not a fantasy, unfortunately.
I would say when fantasies become expectations, that is where we like struggle. Because I think having dreams about who you're going to be with, and like, oh man, I'd love it if like these were some of the qualities or characteristics. Like, I think that is fine and that's great. But I kind of think about dreams and fantasies, it's like love and lust a little bit. Like, people can confuse them, but I think they're actually really different. And I think they're like grounded in two different things. So I'm not sure if I can describe it better than that, but I do think if you're just living out of like looking for the fantasy things, it just, to me, that correlates more with superficial things. And I'm like, I want to love someone for their character and like actual like traits about them, not just like, well, I want them to have like, I don't know, a six pack and like black hair or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. People get specific like that.
Yeah, which I'm like, again, it's okay to have like a type and different things, but I think with dreams you do have to be open in dating. Like, I've met lots of people that I'm like, okay, like I'm just going to know you for you, and I'm not going to try to fit you into what I hope you will be. Because that's just going to be disappointing. I'm like, I need to get to know the person in front of me and have a conversation and like see where it can go. And like, I think I've mentioned it, but there's been people that I've liked that have really surprised me, but I've really enjoyed getting to know them. And I'm like, I actually wouldn't want to change you into the thing that I thought I wanted, because I really enjoy you as you are. So
good.
Yeah, I think it's okay to have dreams, but fantasies will kind of hinder you, I think, and hold you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I like how Kalli said it. Like, when fantasies become expectations, that's when we run into a problem. But yeah, I think it's always okay to, honestly, like, I try to challenge myself to be like, ask God for like things that feel a little extra.
I like it too.
You know, like, and it's not because he owes it to me, but it's because it's so fun when he actually decides to do it, because that's who he is. And then I get to be like, oh, I'm so seen by him. but I wouldn't have gotten that moment if I hadn't asked him, you
That's
know?
good.
And so I think it's okay to have dreams. And there's even been times where I've been like, my expectations are just like on the ground. And I felt the Holy Spirit be like, let's dream about this. And it's so vulnerable. I'm like gonna cry about it now. Just cry in every podcast these days.
We love the tears.
Yeah. But it's so vulnerable to be like, okay, God, like let's dream about this. And actually like have some things that I would like and admit to having those. But yeah, you just have to hold it in this tension of like at the end of the day, everything's a gift, you know? Like it's all a gift. Nothing is he doesn't owe me anything. And so yeah, I think you have dreams and you hold them loosely, and I think facing reality just looks like realizing that even if you get like a bunch of your dreams, even if you get your dream scenario, realizing that like there's going to be life and there's going to be moments where you're so mad at that person.
Yeah.
Like nobody skips out on that. And nobody skips out on pain, you know, like it's just, and I think just realizing like there's no world where we're not going to struggle or face like adversity with the person that we pick. And so, yeah, just I think realizing that and being like, okay, what can I do and how can I lean into this, because I do think adversity shapes us and I think the Lord uses it to do that. And so the more I can lean into it and not try to like control the scenario, I think the better things are going to be. So
Yeah. And I think that's the fantasy versus reality, right? Like that reality doesn't mean being real in your dating relationship doesn't mean you're gonna have a bad dating relationship. It doesn't mean like life's gonna suck. Like this is the real life.
Yeah.
Like
This is marriage.
this
Face
is
it.
marriage. It sucks. Like I feel like people are like, this is as good as it gets when you're dating. And I'm like, what if it gets better? Like I want to believe like my dating and my marriage and all that's gonna be like get better and better and better as the years go on. That's my belief. It should get that way. And you might have ups and downs, but it's like together, like God will take you through. But being real is saying like, God, what do you want? You know, like what do you want? And when it's a relationship based on like the core values of what you have, it's not just on feeling or fantasy. It's going to be sweeter and deeper and further. And I think there is so many people that just go surfacey or have kind of this list, which we'll talk sometime on podcast on the list. If the list is good or bad to have a list. And maybe it's both good and bad. Dun, dun, dun. But I think it's this idea of like when to let go of some of the fantasies and when to hold on, and that's between you and God, and He knows like the deep desires of our hearts. But I know like personally for me, there's been a lot of fantasies that I'm like, this is actually like me trying to like be saved by my partner. I want my partner to fix my life instead of allowing God to fix my life and allowing God to be my father and to be my protector and to be my everything. And I, for so many years, put it into my partner of my partner will save me. My partner will be my healer. My partner will be my everything. So I think it depends on the person of like, God really knows like what you need, because I think it's totally fine for people's dreams to come true or like fantasies to happen. But it's just, there's sometimes like God will take you on a whole other route because He's like, I'm after your heart at the end of the day.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love what you were saying about how God cares. Like He cares about the things that make our heart come alive, or like you're like, oh, I don't really need this, but it would be cool if this happened. And it's just, as we know, it's just tricky because there's no right way to go about it. I think just in walking in surrender and being open and getting to know people, I think that's the best you can do. Being yourself.
Yeah. And I think like surrendering to the fact that like just the process of sanctification, like the process of God forming you into the person that He created you to be, that's always going to be a thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's always going to be there. And the more you are just like, okay, marriage is meant to do this for me, like relationships, married or just community, friendships, like this is all me becoming more like Jesus. And the more I lean into that, the better my relationships are going to be. But the more I try to make it into like everyone's revolving around me, like the more I'm going to be disappointed and probably alone. Like, because I'm not actually the center of everything. So, how have you guys seen fantasy get in the way of someone finding someone really great? Like whether that's in your own lives or discussions you've had with other people. Maybe somebody you were in love with, you know, like just had this fantasy, so they never. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah. I mean, that's been a conversation with some of my good friends is some have like not gone on dates in like a couple years because they want to have that feeling immediately of just like we're attracted immediately, or they have like a huge list that they're like, I'm not going out on a date or being set up with someone unless it's like this whole list being matched.
Yeah.
Which to me I've challenged, like, this might be an amazing person. You have no idea, like, until you actually go on a date or two. And so I think that's something I've always kind of pushed back on people's mindset who have been afraid of getting to know certain people or go on dates just because they want it to be like the perfect setup where they just run into each other and the person just asks them on a date, and which is awesome if that happens. But like that is so rare. And so I've been actually really proud because two of the friends I've challenged, one has started to do like more speed dating and has just like put themselves in more social environments, which is awesome. And they did a little bit of online dating. And then another friend that's been doing more online dating and also has allowed friends to like match her up. And I'm like, just encouraging them, like, let's go, because that's creating momentum. And they're kind of have had these lists for so long that it's actually just kept them from like moving in any way, and it's kind of held them back. And so that's my challenge, is like let go of like those lists that like, I mean, of course, like there's core values. So to me, there's like difference between core values and lists. Core values is like their faith, you know, the things that are really important to you. Like mine is like my faith, health, education. I have like a 4 to 5 core values. And so I think it's okay, but sometimes you won't even know that for a couple dates or until you really get to know them. And so I just am always like, yeah, you're not like, it's you might be missing out on something really great, you know,
Yeah,
if you just have
totally.
this huge standard list of perfectionism from a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd start there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Similar, like I know people that are like, well, unless like I knew this one girl, she was very short, and she's like, well, he has to be like 6 foot at least. And I was like, girl, you're like 5'2", like
Yeah.
and I was like, that just again, I understand having preferences, but this isn't even like something you really need. It's like just this thing you're throwing out, and you're dismissing all these amazing guys because of this rule you've made up in your head. And that just feels really unfair to me. So I would say things like that. I'm like, okay, let that go.
Yes.
Or just get to know this guy. Maybe it won't go anywhere. And then you can, hope you meet a 6 foot person or whatever. But
Yeah.
to just like cling to that is rough. And similar with like age, like I feel like I know people that are like I have known guys that are in their 30s or something, and they're like, well, I need somebody at least like 10 years younger. And I'm like, that is kind of crazy to me. Like, wow. And they'll dismiss a lot of people around their age because they've come up with an idea in their head of what they want, what they need. And I'm like, the fact that you're just like dismissing people that are still really young, like in your age group, because you think this whole other thing is really wild to me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I do think people need to look up statistics. Like that is one way to get in touch with reality. So here's
Yeah.
one for you right now. The percentage of men in the United States that are 6 feet or taller is 14%,
Wow.
which means you are eliminating 86% of men if you're saying that you have to have someone 6 feet or taller,
That's crazy.
which most of you don't.
But if you're competitive, us competitive ones are like, I'll get that 14%. But
Yeah,
don't worry.
the Lauren personalities are like challenging.
I'm like, I got that. 14%, I'll do it.
No problem.
And I think, honestly, I think I've maybe said this before, but I feel like the tall girls and the short guys, I'm like, I get it, because it sucks. Like, you literally, like, I have felt it. People will like dismiss me so fast, and it's just because of my height. And that's so hard because you're like, doesn't matter, but I love Jesus, and
I'm a freaking babe.
there's
I have the best
I look
personality.
like a model.
Yeah.
I'm really athletic. And I walk backwards. That's Andrea.
Yep.
doesn't matter. Like, it's, it's all based on like this thing that, like, I honestly sometimes I want to tell like shorter people that don't, there's especially specifically like the short women, I'm like, he can't control, like, that like he can't control this, right? Like, it's not like, if somebody like eats junk food and his health is in the trash, like, and you're like,
Health
I
in the
don't,
trash.
like, you're
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
don't, I
You can
kind of want to,
control.
yeah, like, it's like,
It's on
okay,
him.
that's on him. But like this guy who was born 5'8", like,
Which
it's
isn't even short.
yeah,
Like to someone like me.
it's not in his control. So to dismiss somebody off of that just feels, just really unnecessary and kind of superficial. But and I will say, as someone who's dated a couple people that were shorter, it is one of those things that like society puts all these rules around it, and at first it is uncomfortable, but you can literally totally forget about it. Like, this guy that I dated, at first we had a conversation about it because I was like, I know this is weird. What do you think? He was like, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. And like, it was not even a thing.
It's because they're secure.
Right.
Yep.
That it literally comes down to, are you secure in your identity?
Yeah.
If you're secure in your identity, you can date a lot more people than you think.
Yes.
It's when you're insecure.
Totally. And you know what? It's a lot easier to not have to deal with your insecurity. That's why people keep going after this 14%, is because they don't want to look at what's going on inside of me that I feel like I need a man 7 inches taller than me. Like,
That's honestly
so it's
good.
just, it's like, it's silly. So, anyway,
We're not
look at the
saying
stat.
also, we're not saying don't deny attraction. Like, but sometimes there could be things that you're making rules that are actually hindering attraction towards someone because you have these rules.
You won't even let your mind go there.
Yeah, you won't let your mind go. You're like, oh, because you don't have a beard, then I'll never date you. So we're not attracted. And I get it. Like, there's people I'm literally like, oh, I'm more just attracted to them because of XYZ.
Yeah.
But I think I love to like lean in and see like, wait, what's really going on here, and get to know them. Because usually the more I get to know someone who has like a really good heart, I'm like, whoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And even with like the age thing, I'm like, look at what's underneath it. Like, maybe you just want someone who like is playful and fun, but maybe you can find that in someone who's like a couple years older than you.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
like
a couple years younger.
or maybe you want someone who's really wise. Like, you can still find that in someone who's younger. So figure out like what is it that I actually want that's like a fair expectation, instead of like, oh, everyone this age, meets my requirement and everyone this age doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were kind of giggling the other day because we heard of a girl that her boyfriend at the time was like, oh, well, I'm 9 months younger than you, so like this won't work,
Yeah.
and they're dating now and they're doing great. But it was like, it felt like we were like, what? Like, but that's like, that to us was like, okay, this is like some fantasy of like, I got to be older because then I'm the leader and then I'm the da 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 da. And we're like, what if you can be, you probably don't even have any idea like that you're 9 months younger,
Right.
So those things I love to like challenge, because it's like,
Totally.
you may be missing out on something so amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I'm like, where do we even get these? Like, maybe it's just how our parents were, or like we just have
I think people are getting pickier and pickier. I think social media makes it like crazy unrealistic.
Yeah.
People want to make I think people make excuses so they don't have to enter into a relationship.
Yep.
They want to just be like, oh,
justify.
You don't you don't get, wow, I'm really struggling with words, but like, you don't have this one thing, so because of it, then we're gonna break up, or not be together.
And there's this this illusion of I have so many other options, but we don't. Like you said,
Yeah.
okay, 14% or like over
Yeah.
6 foot.
Yeah.
But with
Totally.
social media, with dating apps, it's just like, I'll just swipe, find somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah. And
It's
I
just
would
not
say
true.
that's how my 20s was. I was like, oh, I have so much time, so many options. And then
Yep.
when you get in your 30s, you're like, oh, a lot of people are married around me.
Yep.
Like, there's not as many options.
Yeah.
Not saying God can't use it, but I'm like, whoa, everyone's married.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think about like, just give the scenario of a guy walks into church and there's all these beautiful women around him. If he can find something wrong with all of them, then he's justified not taking a risk and leaving church without asking anyone out. Like, then he doesn't have to take a risk. And I think, like, of course, in his head, that's not what's going on. But I think a lot of times it actually is.
oh, yeah.
It's like you're just trying to come up with a reason so you don't have to take a risk or like put yourself out there or be vulnerable. And so you're dismissing people and you're subconsciously keeping yourself safe from rejection or something
Yeah.
that you don't want to feel.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I think that's at the root of a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I see it in myself. That's why I'm able to call it out.
Good.
Yeah.
Honestly, taking risks. I love it. And just being open to just getting to know people that maybe you wouldn't get to know. And when you enter into dating, like going through a process of like really understanding them. And of course, core values to me. I don't know. I just keep hitting my head. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think core values are very important. I have broken up with people because our core values don't match.
Yep.
And sometimes that took me months to figure out. And then when we did, it was like, okay, yeah, this is such a non-negotiable in my life. Like we can't be together. And I think that's totally fine. But I think there's things I had to like lay down fantasy wise because I'm like, actually, it doesn't really matter. Like we have a great relationship. We don't need that thing. So and
Totally.
sometimes you figure it out while you're dating.
Yeah.
That you those things that I really want, you're like, actually it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
Like I thought it would. So
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a level too of like familiarity that actually is a good breeding ground for attraction. Like, I think sometimes you just need to put yourself in situations like maybe you need to serve on a team at church, or maybe you need to show up at some kind of like community group or something. And because I can't even tell you how many times like my first impression of someone was like, who's this guy? But then being around him and like seeing that he's funny and laughing at his jokes and having conversations where I'm like, wait, I actually feel really safe around him. Like, and seeing his character and seeing his love for the Lord, like guys that I would have swiped left on, all of a sudden I'm crushing on them.
Yep.
So it's like if you've been on the apps and that's the only place you're meeting people, like maybe branch out and see see if attraction can grow in a different kind of scenario for you.
Our app expert telling you to maybe try
I
getting off
know.
apps. That's wild.
Yeah.
She's so edgy.
Yeah. I will get to know a lot of people on the apps though, because I know that in my head. I'm like, you know what? Like this person, is going to have a lot more of a chance, or I'm going to have a lot better idea of my attraction to them if we get to talk, like, or go on a couple of dates and I experience them like in person, not just look at their profile, So anyway, yeah.
So good.
Any last thoughts or challenges, you guys, for the audience?
I shared my challenges.
Great.
Yeah, I think maybe having some time with the Lord and just asking, like, what are some things you want me to keep and what are some things you want me to let go of?
Totally.
I think that'd be really good because sometimes he'll surprise you too. Sometimes the thing you think you need to get rid of, he's like, no, you can hold on to that. And sometimes the very thing that you're like, oh, he'd never ask me to like let go of this. He's like, I need you to let it go. Because I think ultimately it comes back to he knows our hearts. He knows what we need. He knows what we want. So I think he's just the best person to go to and ask for help, ask for wisdom, and he knows what we need.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Totally.
that's great.
Yeah. And be aware of, being aware of your own stuff helps you let go of fantasy. For sure. Because you're like, oh, somebody's like gonna have to deal with my crap.
Yep. We all got it.
So I can have grace for him because he has grace for me, Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Lauren, anything?
That's it.
guys, thanks for listening to our in-person podcast. I was gonna say
IRL.
second.
Yeah.
I was gonna say second ever in person, but we split that first one up into 2. So I guess this is our third in person.
Third
wow,
in
so
person.
technical.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
that's
weird
true.
because it's like I want to look at you guys, but I want to look at the screen.
I know.
And
Just
I think I
clicking.
mostly looked at you guys.
yeah, I didn't know what to do.
I
No
was
one told me.
lost. Yeah.
No
one told me
we
what
didn't
to
talk
do.
we
about
have a
it
game
before.
plan for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Winging it.
Clunky,
Just
but I like it.
winging it.
I actually never feel that clunky in front of you guys. So
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, this has been a pleasure meeting with you in person.
yeah, and
Yes.
even when we say goodbye to everyone else, we don't have to say goodbye to each other. At least right now.
We're still partying. That is young.
Wait,
So
one
true.
more thing I do have to share that was funny
Oh,
between our
cool.
friendship. Oh, you guys are fine. Don't worry.
We're
no,
both like,
calm
what?
down,
No,
calm
I'm
down.
excited.
No,
I don't know
I
what it
was
is.
like, oh.
I just thought it was funny that we were driving to church this morning and I was checking into my flight and then Andrea's like, oh yeah, my flight on Tuesday. And Kalli was like, oh, you're staying till Tuesday? And Kalli thought that Dre was leaving tomorrow when I'm leaving. And so Dre's staying an extra day, which I was like, yeah, I knew that too. Like,
Yeah,
so
I did not.
she gets Andrea for an extra day than she knew, which I'm like,
Yeah,
you both are lucky.
it's a great surprise. I'm like, oh, sweet. Because actually, last year she was supposed to leave on a certain day, and then it was delayed like a day or
True.
something. So
Yeah.
it was great. I was like, do it again, God.
So,
Yeah.
It just made me laugh. I was like, this happens a lot in our friendships. We'll be
Yeah.
like, wait, what? Oh, nice. Like, so
I can miss some details sometimes, but you know what? It all works out. So
Yeah.
for your game.
Well, because we like carefully coordinated it so we would come in at the same time, but then we didn't do the same thing for leaving.
Yeah, because I have to get back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be
And
not
I
thinking
can
about
work
it yet.
from anywhere.
She can. So there you go.
Yeah. So can't wait to tackle Kelly's car problems together.
yeah, pray for me, guys. That
Seriously.
check engine light, it's really not been kind to me the last couple years, but
It's because it's been in so many ditches from snow.
this one has not been in any
I
ditches.
know. I just wanted to be bad.
Anyways,
Okay.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for listening. Kate, thanks for hosting us in your beautiful home.
Yes.
love you.
And we love you all. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.